speakers, you can start introducing yourselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Arianna Saiful, but you can just call me Arianna. Like Arissa said, I received the YK Early Harvest, but disclaimer, I'm still waiting on my SPM results. Hopefully it'll come around July or August. If you want to know a little bit about what I used to do back in high school, is I used to be active in debate and was the secretary of the prefectorial board, was editor-in-chief for Cemerlang magazine, and I also received the Girl Guides Association Queen's Guide Award in January. I have a huge passion in writing, debating, public speaking, anything regarding like that sort of passion. And I also plan to pursue law in the future.
Hello everyone, as you know, I'm Subhashini and I'm currently doing my A-levels at Taylor's University. My subject combination is econs, accounting, further maths and maths. So I'm seeking to do accounting in the UK, hopefully. And a little bit about my background, I would say I live in Shah Alam. I have two siblings. One of them is currently studying in MMU and the other one is in SMK Kota Kemuning. Apart from that, in high school, I used to be active in debating along with Arianna. And I was also part of the Cemerlang editorial board under Arianna as well. And apart from that, I was also in the Resource Center Committee as the secretary. And I feel like I'm very passionate about sports in general. So I participated in squash, swimming. And right now, I think one thing that I'm very into nowadays is watching a lot of sitcom.
Oh, okay. I guess it's my turn now. Hi, everyone. My name is Nia Katarina. You can call me Nia. Like Arianna and Subha, I was also from Kolej Yayasan Saad, but currently I'm in Kolej Tuanku Jaffa doing my A-levels, and I'm in the midst of doing my AS right now. I still have one paper to go. But yeah, a little background about me. I am the youngest out of 6 siblings, and I live in a small town in Port Dickson, Negeri Sembilan. And a little fun fact about me is I love watching crime documentaries and psychological thrillers. And one thing that, and similarly with Arianna and Subha, I was also from the debating unit. So join DU, guys. And I'm a proud Razakian. I was the house captain back in 2019 till 2020. So I'm planning to pursue economics in either the United States or United Kingdom. And one thing I would like to get better at is cooking.
Thank you everyone for the amazing introduction. A little bit of a disclaimer. The tips we shall be discussing today are extracted from past experience or interviews of the speakers. It is not meant as professional advice to fellow students and only as a guide. The decisions on selected candidates are the prerogative of the scholarship sponsorship bodies only. To get to know our speakers a little more, let's start by asking them any role models that they look up to. Maybe we can start with Arianna.
Hi. I guess if you talk about role models, I don't specifically have one person I look up to, but definitely I draw a big source of inspiration from the people around me, because I really believe that you shouldn't just have like one person to look up to. It's more of a lot of different roles in your life, a really active role in your life. So it's a continuous process. You talk to them, you observe them, and you learn from them. So I guess my role models would be the people around me, not just my family members, but also my teachers and also my friends. Because you would be surprised. You might think that you should, put one person, someone who's already successful, who's already on the top to be your role model. But, it doesn't have to be that way. It can be someone who's in a similar position to you or someone who's younger than you, in fact, because you can learn so much from different people. I guess, like, for example, I would say that I could learn a lot from my friends who have different personalities, different strengths, and different flaws from me, because they operate in a different way from how I usually do. So it's interesting to see how they do it. And I draw inspiration from that. It's not to say that I want to copy their personality. It's more that I learn from how they do things, how they run things. I learn from what works, and I really appreciate the people around me for everything they've taught me.
It is definitely true that role models is everyone around us, and I totally agree with that. Next, maybe we can go to Nia.
Oh, okay, my role model. Oh, it's so hard. Like Arianna said, I couldn't decide on one. But I think for me, the nearest role model that I often look up to is probably my sister, because although she's a bit hard to please sometimes, but I really look up to her because she always pushes me to be the best version of myself. So I wouldn't be sitting here right now today talking about scholarship if it weren't for her. So yeah, I really look up to my sister because she showed me not just like academically, like character development wise as well. I just love how she manages her stuff and manages her work. And now that she has a child, and like I really look up to her in the sense of how to become a better person as a whole, not just how to get a scholarship or how to excel in school, right? So yeah, I would love to be like her. I know it's a bit cringy. I think she's watching this right now, but yeah, she's definitely my role model.
Your sister must be so proud hearing you say that. All right, so for the last one is Subha.
Okay, so my role model, I guess, while I do get competition from my siblings, from my friends to do better, I think one of the role models that I look up to would be people who are there for like female empowerment and like environmentalists, such as Emma Watson, Greta Thunberg. Those are the people that I actually look up to in terms of like social issues, in terms of things that I'm passionate about, because I'm really into advocating for like betterment of like society as a whole. And when it comes to myself, I tend to like look up to them so that I know I'm on the right path when I'm saying something, when I'm doing something. At least I know that I'm on that right path of what I want to do in the future, of what I want to advocate for. So those are some of my role models.
Thank you, Subha. Moving on to Athena.
Yeah, I really agree with all of you taking examples from the people around you. And even for myself, I look up to all three of you because you're really wonderful. So could each of you explain a little about what you're up to now? What's your school life? Maybe we can start from Nia.
Sure, I'd love to share. So like I said earlier on, I am currently doing my A-levels, and my subject combination is mathematics, economics, history, and extended project qualification. And the environment in the school is definitely something different because I've been in both government and private school back in my primary and my high school years. So being in an international school for the first time, it's definitely different atmosphere, but not in a bad way. So so far I've been enjoying myself. I've been doing the same things I've been doing in high school and also trying a lot of new things, like being more involved in sports, like sports. Yeah, so I recently tried rock climbing and rugby, so that's pretty fun. And other than that, yeah, I've met a lot of new friends here and I just love being here.
I guess for me, my college life has been treating me well so far. I guess, like I mentioned, my subject combinations, I'm taking 4 subjects. So it can be kind of hectic, especially now since I'm also taking my AS and I have like 3 more papers to go. So it's kind of hectic sometimes. But at the same time, I feel fulfilling because those subjects that I take are actually things that I'm interested in, and learning them and like sitting for the exams and all, it's making me feel like accomplished, I guess. So I'm pretty sure this would help me later on in my degree when things are going to get more hectic. But apart from that, my environment here, it's like different compared to what was in college, because now I get to meet like degree students, like in tailors, you get to mix around with all types of people. Even in like clubs and societies, there are all these different people that you meet. different experiences, different backgrounds. So I get to learn a lot from them. And also I'm really happy about the flexible schedule because I get to like have time for myself, have time to meet up with my friends, spend time with my family. And I think that's kind of making my life more balanced now. Yeah.
As for me, I don't have a school life because after SPM, I'm not in any school at the moment, waiting for my SPM results. But that's not to say I'm not busy. I've been busying myself a lot. Actually, been doing a lot of different things. Last month, I just wrapped up my internship at Ficus Capital, which is a capital venture company. Other than that, oh my gosh, I am so excited about this, but I'm currently writing a book, which I hope will be published before I get into school. And yeah, next 2 weeks, I'm actually going to Bali for Anugerah Maju Perdana ARP, or also known as Duke of Edinburgh's Award. So I'm really excited for the activities, but mostly I just really want to hang out with my friends.
Yeah, good luck, Nia and Suba, who are currently taking their AS. And Arianna will be starting school sometime in June or July. So for Suba and Nia, since you've received quite a lot of different scholarship offers, what were some things that you took into consideration when choosing between all of the offers?
I guess I'll go first. So some of the things that I considered is probably the job security, the courses that I was offered, because for each scholarship I was offered different courses, and also I guess the contract that was given to me. So for the job security, I guess like different scholarships, they offer different periods of bonding and also with different levels of security. For example, like at Petronas, after you have graduated, you have to sit for an interview where they decide whether or not you are capable for their to get their employment. So that is one thing to consider, whereas like other scholarships like SPAN and BNM, like the scholarship that I took, those scholarships offer better security because there's a better guarantee that I would get the job after I graduated. And also I feel like the courses that I was offered is like very varied, because some courses was like computer science, and then some of it was engineering, and like the one that I'm doing right now is accounting. So the courses were very different, so I had to consider which course that I'm actually interested in and where my heart lies. And also I feel like the contract itself can be a bit confusing due to the bonding period, the like method of repayment if you decide to, like, for example, work overseas or work in a private company, for example, like JPA. They don't really they have like different methods of repayment. If JPA has now changed into pinjaman boleh ubah, which means that if you choose not to work for the government, then you would have to repay. So it's more like a convertible loan in a sense. So in that case, I like had to see which scholarship actually offers better security in terms of that, where there's a less likelihood that I would end up repaying my whole scholarship, you know. So those are some of the things I considered.
As for me, yeah, similar with Suba, like it was pretty hard for me to choose one. And I mean, it's harder for me because all of them kind of offer the same course and the same university placement. So it's like, which one do I choose, right? So out of the 4, I got economics, and 1, I got accounting. So obviously I would go for the economics one because that's my first choice. Then things that I actually considered before choosing BNM at the end of the day was the short-term and long-term, my short-term and long-term plan. So for short-term, I look at the flexibility that the scholarship body offers. So for Bank Negara, they actually have the flexibility of giving us the right to choose which pre-university to go to and also which country to apply to. Unlike other scholarships, they're like a bit direct on what you have to do, where do you have to go, and like all of that stuff. And in a long-term sense, similar like Suba, I also look at the job security, because at the end of the day, am making like a huge decision that's going to impact my life for the next 10 or 20 years. So it's definitely a big decision to make, right? So I look at the job security as well, because I know that being with Bank Negara, there's 100% guarantee that you'll be absorbed back to the company. So, and that's already like I already feel secure with that. But not to say that the other scholarships I've received are not as good. All of them have their pros and cons, because some people might think that, oh, having bonds is not a great idea. And some people may think that loan is better because you could work wherever you want after you graduate, right? So it's more on the personal choice. But bottom line is, before I decided on being under Bank Negara, I considered so many things, but I didn't do it myself. Obviously, I would also talk to my seniors who've already gotten all these scholarships and like ask how they are right now, like how are they treating you, and how's the allowance, all sort of things. And at the end of the day, I just followed what my heart says, and also what's like best for me and for my future. And yeah, after a few discussions and like, all of that, I've decided on going with Bank Negara. Yeah.
Yeah. So for each of you, how long would you have to serve your bond for your company?
For Bank Negara, they have two schemes where if you study at UK, you have to serve 10 years, while if you study at US, you have to serve 12 years.
Yeah, it's like a 1-to-2 ratio kind of. So 1 year of studying is equivalent to 2 years of working. So you might be wondering why do you need to serve 12 years in the US and 10 years in the UK, like what Subha said. So reason for that is because UK has 3-year degree program and US has 4 years degree program. So 2 + 3 is 5 × 2 for UK. So that's 10 years of working and 12 years for US. I hope that's not too confusing. Just remember it's 1-to-2 ratio. Yeah.
For Yayasan Khazanah, if I'm not mistaken, it's like on a 1-to-1 ratio. So if I study for 2 years for A levels and then 3 years more, my degree, that's gonna be 5 years. And they'll place you on a work bond, like they'll bond you to one of their subsidiaries or companies under or maybe even Khazanah National.
Yeah, so most likely, from what I'm hearing, YK has a shorter bond term than BNM. So just now earlier, Subha also mentioned about contract. What do you think scholars should know before applying? Like some of the things you wish you should have known earlier. I think maybe Subha can go first since you mentioned about contracts.
Yeah, sure. I think some of the things I wish I'd known is to look out for the term itself, the term that was used. So like I mentioned earlier, the term pinjaman boleh ubah that JPA used is not just another word for scholarship. It actually is a convertible loan. So if you choose not to serve for any government sectors, which is also hard, it's hard to get absorbed into the government sector if you think about it. So if you end up not working for a government sector, then you would have to pay back the loan according to percentages. So like if you work for in overseas, you have to pay 100%. And if you work at like a private sector, if I'm not mistaken, you have to pay back like 50%. And if you work for a GLC, a government linked corporation, then you would have to pay back like 25%, but I'm not really sure about the percentage. So make sure to like research about that. Also, like I mentioned earlier about Petronas, the term that they used was a sponsorship instead of a scholarship. So that means that they would be paying for your education right now, and there is a high likelihood that you would have to pay back the full amount after you are finished studying. So like those terms, although it might seem like a very small thing, it's actually things that you should look out for when applying for the scholarship, and also after you have received the scholarship. Also, some of the things that I wish I've known is that it might be naive, but when I was studying for my SPM, I assumed that there are scholarships that do not have a bonding period, but apparently those scholarships are very, very rare. So if you don't know this right now, almost all scholarships have a bonding period. So if you don't like being tied down, like Nia said, if you don't like being tied down to a company, maybe those scholarships are not for you. But there are also scholarships that have like a shorter period. For example, like scholarships that offer you only until A levels, and some that offer you like later on. There's also scholarships that offer you up to your diploma. So if you like shorter periods where you have more choices to make, then make sure you look out for those scholarships as well.
All right, such a wonderful explanation. All right, moving on. Besides good grades, what actually are the other important areas that scholarship bodies look at? Maybe we can go first with Arianna, considering that you didn't use your real SPM result when applying for early harvest.
All right. Okay, that's interesting to note. Yes, I didn't use my real SPM results. I actually used my trials results because the early harvest program opened up really early last year, actually. So I think that a few things that you have to take note of if you want to score for you want to bag some scholarships is, I think it's really important you are passionate about at least one thing. Like, people might think that you have to be super involved in extracurricular. You have to really ace everything. If you join a competition, you have to get the first award. No, it's nothing like that. Actually, it's more towards you loving what you do, and you being passionate about what you do, and you learning from what you're involved in. Because at the end of the day, let's say during interviews, the experiences that you have will really come to light when you speak. Because an experienced person will speak a little bit different compared to someone who doesn't really learn from being in an environment where you're active in a co-curriculum, but you don't really learn from it. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that's how I see it. So, and another thing is, you shouldn't participate much in things that you don't actually like, and you shouldn't participate in things that don't really relate to what you want to pursue in the future. For example, if you want, like for me, I wanted to take up law. I want to pursue law in the future. So all of the things that I have done in high school leading up to now, they're all really great extracurriculars that really helped me develop the skills that I will need to use if I want to pursue law in the future. And I sort of wrote that in my essay for YK applications. And I also talked about it a lot in my interviews about how I cultivated the necessary skills to not only pursue, but also learn and study the law. So I think that really ties in to what a scholarship body wants from you. They want someone who has the skills, the experience, but also the passion and motivation to, push forward with your goals. So yeah, I think that's essentially what I think a scholarship body looks at in a person. But please remember that academics is still very important, because academics is probably the first thing that they look at. It's not everything they want to look at in a person. But if you are competing with thousands of people in this country with during the application stage, if you have really great grades, then that's already a plus side. It's a really great way of standing out. So yeah.
All right, maybe you can go to Suba.
Similar to what Arianna mentioned, I think having a niche or something that you are specialized in, it would definitely help you in scholarships. For example, you might not be the excelling academic kid. You could also be other things. If you are the sports kid, there's no guarantee that you wouldn't get a scholarship that is more academic inclined, because scholarship bodies, they don't only want you to be good at studying or acing your academics. They also want you to be someone who can represent them. They want you to be able to be the face of the scholarship. So if you are that sports kid, they could still advertise you. They could use you as their face to show that not not all scholars who are academic inclined are just specialized at academics. They're also good at sports. They're also good at other things like debate and stuff. But also, if you don't have a passion that is like very intellectual, I would say, like debate or like writing, public speaking, if you don't have something like that, it could also be the smaller things. Like maybe you really like TikTok, you really like making TikTok videos. That could also be your plus point. You could promote yourself using TikTok. You could say in your interviews that I have a TikTok account that has over a few million followers, and that could be your niche, that could be your thing. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure companies nowadays are looking for people who are good at that aspect, who are good at publicity. So that could be your niche as well. So basically, scholarship body don't look at one thing, they just look at you as a whole. So if you are specialized in something, don't be afraid to promote yourself in that. If your essays were to be about something really small, like for example, you are a really diehard K-pop stan and you want to write your essays about how passionate you are about that, sure, I'm pretty sure they would be willing to like appreciate that and like look at you from that aspect as well.
That is really amazing, considering that now many teenagers and also students love to use TikTok as a platform. All right, so for the next question, what is an advice to someone who isn't sure about what they want to do? Maybe we can give this question to Kak Nia.
Yeah, okay, sure. I mean, I would totally relate to that because I really didn't know what I would be doing up until Form 5. But like, if you were to ask me for the next 4 years, I would also answer the same thing. So it's not the fact that you are sure what you are going to do for the next 10 years, but you have to have a passion in something, like what Arianna and Subha has said. You must have something that you do, something that you read up a lot, or something that you just have a passion of just talking about it to a friend. Those are the things that like will determine what kind of person you are and what kind of field that you're going into. So for me, I was involved in Girl Guides, where I had to do my 3 months project where I went for a volunteer in soup kitchen. So I realized that I'm really passionate in doing all this community work, right? So there's little things in life, like you don't have to be involved in school, like an extracurricular in school to know that, if I'm in DU, I need to be a lawyer. It's not necessarily like that. So if you're good in sports, you don't have to necessarily be a sportswoman or like an athlete in the future, right? You can have all these other interests as well, because what scholarship bodies look for isn't just for a person. It's firstly a person who's like academically driven, and also a person who's like passionate in something that they want to do in the future. But also they look at a more holistic approach of like, they also appreciate that you have other interests as well. For example, you love acting or like theater, musical, because I know Arianna does that a lot. And like, yeah, just involve yourself in all of these small things that you love, and that's how you know. And once your character starts to develop, that's how you know that, I'm actually this kind of person. So for me, the scholarship application process really helped me realize and reflect on myself and what I've done in the past 12 years of my study life, that I'm actually like interested in economics, right? But I'm sure that all of you out there are still like struggling on what course am I going to apply to. Like if I were to go to a scholarship interview, of course I would need to know like what this course is about, or else like how would I persuade the interviewer that they should believe in me, that I would be very committed in my studies, right? So if you're stuck, don't worry, because if you were to ask like any other degree holders or like university students, there might be people who might want to change their course at the end of the day. So you don't have the control over how sure you are going to be committed to that one specific course, right? Because you may never know what you may think and what you may dislike or like in the future. But for now, just take one step at a time. And if you're really, really unsure and you're really, really desperate to know, be like me and just go on those career tests. I mean, it helps, I guess, or like personality tests. And like, yeah, just read out about that, and probably you'll find out like the course that's like suitable for you, maybe. Yeah.
All right. So the next question is, since all of you guys are in the debate union or in the debate club, what's an example of how co-curriculum has shaped all of you? And what are the lessons that you have learned since high school from that?
I think I can go with this one. Yeah. Okay. So first off, I just want to start that before this, I mentioned that I got a lot of inspiration from people around me. Yeah, it really applies to debate. Like, oh my gosh, I learned so much from Kak Nia, Kak Suba. They were my seniors in debate back then, and I really looked up to the both of them because they achieved so much, and they were also so nice to their juniors. Like, even though there was like that gap between our age, like they were so nice and they were always so willing to help. So I think that it really shaped the way I treat other people as well. It made me want to help out with people who are still learning in debate, like still like grasping like how to start out in debating. So thank you so much for that. The both of you really inspired me a lot. But other than that, other than debate, I would say that extracurriculars really shaped the way that I think. Because one important thing about extracurriculars that people don't really realize is that it's not the extracurriculars on paper, on resume that matters. It's what you learn from your extracurriculars, the experiences specifically. Because let's say when you're sitting down and you're writing an essay for your application, right? Like you cannot just blurt out all the things that you've done in school just like that, just straightforwardly. No, you like the scholarship bodies can already check out your achievements on your resume. What you have to write in your essay or what you have to show and prove in your interviews is why, when you join those extracurriculars, why does it matter? For example, it's like really, really minor. It's not even an extracurricular, but it's in Kolej Yayasan Saad, we have our sports houses, right? I was in Rahman, and we had this one meeting at the start of the year for our last year, our final senior year. And there was this sort of like commotion happening on, like, there was this sort of like beef, a fight between the girls and the guys over something like miscommunication, basically. And in that moment where we were discussing, but nobody really wanted to step up and talk about the elephant in the room, they didn't want to discuss on the issue. I decided then that I have to step up and talk about it because the girls wouldn't bring up the problem. And I don't think the guys realized it as well, that like how they were treating the girls made them feel a little bit, out of place in our Rahman meeting. So it's something really small. I didn't even have a role in Rahman. I wasn't a captain. I wasn't a vice captain. I was just there as a member of the sports house, and I decided I had to step up somewhere. And I wrote about that in my essay because that's one of the examples where I realized why I want to do the law, why I'm passionate in the things I am passionate about. Because I realized that even on a like surface level, I've always been the mediator between two parties. I've always been the one who steps up and isn't afraid to settle things. And people think that, oh, being a lawyer or like studying the law, you have to be someone who's like super argumentative and super like, defending your own point. But that's not really how I see it. When you want to study the law, you have to be, you have to look at all sides and be able to rationally think on how both sides can compromise or what's fair and just for both sides. Although I am an argumentative person in general, it's just for fun. It's more of like, that's my outward personality, but on the inside, I'm someone who rather likes to, level out the playing field or level out or like, bringing down the really tense atmosphere to settle things very rationally. And yeah, these small experiences are what builds you up into the person you are now. those small instances where, it's not something big that you can write in your resume. They're just like day-to-day occurrence that happens. It's what's gonna push you to understand, oh, what I want to do in the future. What makes me the person that I am? Who am I really? So in interviews, you can bring up those experiences and share your thought process with the people interviewing you. And trust me, they will be so impressed by the fact that you remember these experiences. You don't just remember, oh, I won that, oh, I accomplished this. It's through the identity you built when you achieve the things you achieved. That is important. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
All right, maybe we can go now to Nia.
Yeah, sure. I totally agree with what Arianna has said. And no, I think she inspired me more than I inspired her. But yeah, but don't get us wrong though. You don't have to necessarily be involved in DU in order to get a scholarship. Obviously you can do a lot more other things, not school related, like what Arianna has said, like social life. You may never know that one day that an incident that happened to you can be really impactful in your life. So for me, it's just more on reflecting on how you think and what's happening around you and reflecting on those things and how you just to have a lot of thoughts in a topic really helps as well, because you can use that in your personal statement as well. For me, I included in my personal statement, I included my experience when going to the Sustainable Development Goal Summit in Kuala Lumpur by the United Nations. So from there, I met a lot of other people who advocate, right? So I feel very much inspired when going to that one summit for 2 days, because I saw that they're really passionate in what they're doing. So it's really important to be passionate in something that you do. So you don't have to follow other people you need to, in order to be great, you need to be in DU or be in the MUN. You can do whatever your heart wants, because at the end of the day, during your interview, you have to show your real best self. So it does not have to be something big in extracurricular activity. It can be as small as helping a cleaner open a door, or all those other things, because what the scholarship body is looking for is someone that's holistic and is someone who's holistic and has good intentions in whatever they're doing, not just academic and school wise, because at the end of the day, they're going to absorb you back in the company. And also they analyze you as a person as a whole. So just how you bring yourself forward, that's most important. But for me, the debating union really impacted me, because personally I didn't grow up in a English speaking household, so I kind of wanted to push myself to improve my English. So coming in Form 1, not knowing anything, it's a big step. It's a big step for me to be in the debating union. But because of that, I think I've learned the most from the debating union, because especially in interview, you would get those spot on questions, and I feel like I've become so used to that, because in DU you have the point of information, people are just attacking you and asking you a question, and you're forcing your brain to think of an answer on the spot, right? And how you construct your answer. So I feel like those little things really helped me as well. And also DU also helped enhance my knowledge, because we're supposed to do a lot of reading as well. And I'm a person who's I'm not a reader, I'm not a bookworm. So that's something I would really want to work on. So that's why I ended up being in the DU. But then again, don't get us wrong, you don't have to necessarily be in DU or be great at writing or public speaking to excel in interview, because the scholarship body also looks at other things. All your application, from you applying, filling up the online form, those from that to the psychometric test and also the group assessment, they have other things that they're looking at as well. So even if you're not a public speaking person, you don't have to feel bad about yourself or feel insecure, because you may also have other better qualities that other people don't have. So whatever it is, just be your best self, and just don't be afraid to try something new. And
Yeah. By joining a lot of other co-curricular activities myself, I can attest to what Arianna and Nia says, that COCO shapes how we think. Both of you mentioned about personal statements and essay, and we know that in the application there's a lot of different stages, right? So what do you think, how do you think the application is like? What do you think is really important about it? And what do you think made you outshine the others? Why you? Maybe we can start from Suba.
For me, I feel like the application process is kind of lengthy actually. So like right after you're done with your, right after you have gotten your SPM results, it's gonna be uphill battle after that. There's gonna be essays you'll be writing, application forms that you have to fill up and hand in. Together with your essays, apparently, I think for most scholarships that's how it is. And then later on comes the interview process, all the interviews that you would be attending, some psychometry tests, some like game-based assessments, things like that. And then later on would be like your final interview process, or like the D-Day, the day you get your results, which scholarships you have successfully received, which one you didn't get, those kind of things. So the whole process would take up to like 2 months, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so it's a lengthy process, and I would say you have to be strong. You have to have a very resilient mindset to go through all of that. Once you're done with the interview, no matter how well or how badly you think you did, you still have to, like, motivate yourself and go on to the next one. So that's something that you have to keep in mind when going through this process. I'm sure you would be going through that process very soon after you've gotten your results. So that's how the process is like. And some of the things I kept in mind while applying is the mindset that these people actually wants you. The scholarship bodies, they want to know who you are. Once you have applied for it and you have gotten an answer on it, for example, you successfully managed to get through the application process. After that, it means that they already want you. They want to get to know you even more. They want to decide whether or not you are suitable for their scholarship. So keeping that in mind is important, because it helps with your self-confidence. It helps with knowing that you can say whatever you want. You can just promote yourself during the interview, during the essay writing as well. All you need to do now is show whatever you have been doing for the past few years. So for example, how I viewed the whole process was that for like 5 years, I guess, in high school, I was just learning all the things that I need to learn for this 2 months. So during that 2 months, you just be pouring out whatever you have learned, all your experiences, all your capabilities, all your traits, character traits that you have developed throughout the years. You just be pouring it out. So that's something that you can keep in mind when applying, when attending the interviews, so that you don't get shaken by any difficult questions or things that might affect your self-esteem. For example, when there's like group interviews, if you feel you are being left behind compared to the rest of your group mates, you shouldn't be discouraged, because you should know that the scholarship bodies just want to get to know you. They don't want to compare you to anyone. They just want to know who you are. So those are the things to keep in mind. I feel like that's one of the things that made me different compared to the rest, because the fact that I'm really ambitious about the things that I want to do, I'm really passionate about the things that I want to do, even though at some junctions, I would say my capabilities, or like my qualifications on paper, don't suit my experiences, or like the things that I claim I want to do. Even though some of the things don't match, I would still be able to advocate for that. I would still be able to promote myself and tell the interviewers that I am able to do this in the future, because of that self-confidence, because you know that your experiences has brought you up to this day. Although you don't have supporting documents, for example, maybe while one of the biggest challenges, I feel like the most difficult interview for me was like with Yayasan UEM, because there were a lot of academic related questions. And like one of the questions was regarding the law of gravitational force, which I've never learned. I know you guys learn this in SPM now, but during our time, like me and Nia, we never learned this during SPM. So I was like really confused, like what is that? So what I did, I just said whatever I want to say, whatever I think was right. In the end, even though I don't think I did that well in that interview, but still the interviewers view it from a different perspective. So I think that's one thing that made me different. I was able to like promote myself, even though I'm not really sure about certain things. So that's something that you can develop throughout the process. Maybe the first interview you might feel like you messed up, but going on you might do better. So that's something to keep in mind.
I think I can go next. I'll try to make my answer as short as possible because I feel like Subha has covered most of it already. But yeah, definitely the 2 months of applying to scholarship was really, really daunting. There was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But at the end of the day, you just have to grind for those 2 months. Be your best self, be the best version of yourself, not being fake, but be the best version of yourself. I think it's like really important. I think that sacrificing those 2 months researching and preparing for the test, admission test, those are really, they'll all be worth it in the end. But again, all those things that you want to bring up to the interviewers are the things that you do accumulatively since when you were young, right? But for me, the stage that was most important was the group assessment and also the individual interview. Yeah, it varies from scholarship bodies to another scholarship body. For example, Petronas has the TSA Cambridge test, but Bank Negara doesn't. JPA requires us to do a psychometric test and recorded video. I mean, it varies, but NMRA is just you submitting the form and you get it just like that. So it varies from scholarship to scholarship. But for me, what's most important to note in mind that within those 2 months is that you need to be up to date. So you have to really be aware of the deadlines and your emails, especially because I know being in school, like high school, we don't use emails as much. But during these 2 months, it's really, really crucial for you to be aware of all the emails that you got, because you might not, because they will only give you the shortest duration I've gotten a notice was like 2 days prior an interview. So like, and if you're planning to apply to more than 5 or more than 3 scholarships, you have to be up to date. You have to be very, you have to just continuously check up on your emails. Yeah. But back to the main question, which section of the interview really makes me outshine from the rest, I'd say is the group assessment, because I know most of you already know that, oh, you have to be the best version of yourself. You have to show, not tell. I'm pretty sure everyone knows that already, but there are so many unwritten laws that people outside don't know. So other than giving quality answers, you have to also know the etiquettes of being in an interview. So it's really crucial to know what you wear, what's your background like, and your microphone quality, your camera quality, all of those matter. Because imagine having to assess over 1,000 of candidates. It might be like a bit stressful for the interviewers, right? So always start and end the interview with a positive note. So for me, what I always do for all my scholarship interviews was I started off by saying, oh, good morning. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And also remembering the interviewer's name also make a huge difference, right? Because like they're also people, a human being. Because like imagine someone mentioning your name, like, oh, Mr. Abu, for example, you said that, blah, blah, blah. Obviously they would feel acknowledged and like, oh, this person actually acknowledged me, right? So all the small things really matter, which I don't think a lot of people realize. And especially, and other than that, being in a group discussion or the group assessment, it was really like a bit stressful because for us, it was the first year that we had to do it online. No, the second year actually. And we had like 7 people in the group. So it was really like hard because everyone tried to talk and everyone tried to lead. So don't, like what Subha said, don't feel bad on or insecure if you feel a bit left behind, because you may not know what the scholarship body actually wants, right? They maybe don't like the people who lead too much or like who talk too much, right? At the end of the day, we don't know what they want, but what's important is just you be a good leader and also be a good team player. Those are the two that I really think are most crucial to keep in mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Both Nia and Suba mentioned about being anxious for interviews. And I'm pretty sure they're not alone because everybody faces interviews. And although we know that the interviewers want to know us as people, what are some tips you would have for people who face anxiety before the interview? Maybe we can start with Arianna.
Okay, interesting. Because I think it's a little weird for me because I don't really get the nervousness. I don't get the jitters. And how I go like for it is like I actually really enjoy interview processes. It doesn't have to just be scholarship interviews, it can be any interview. Like this sort of counts like an interview, right? I kind of actually just enjoy the process because just treat it like a normal casual conversation. And I know that sounds like a difficult thing to do because oh my gosh, this is a scholarship, they're probably like super professional people and they've probably met like so many amazing candidates out there. But no, trust me, just be yourself, relax and enjoy the interview process, because this is the time where the interviewers are going to ask you specifically. They want your opinions. Like imagine someone asking for your opinions without you having to, go out of your way to, stand up for yourself and talk about yourself. It's literally a free session for you to talk about your interests, your passions, what you love, what you like, what the type of person you are, the experiences that have led you up to this point, the point where you can say literally anything and, enjoy the process. That's my tip. And another way to make the interview process a little less, nerve-wracking is to just prepare beforehand. And what I mean is, please don't prepare an actual script for it. If you prepare an actual script, if you go for like, all of the typical questions like what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and you quite literally plot down your answers, that's going to do you less benefits. It's going to actually bring you down more, because if you forget your script, you're going to sort of freeze up. So be natural, just go for it. And it honestly doesn't matter that you stutter or you mess up a little bit or your thought process is kind of, like you don't get to the point when you want to get to the point. Of course, you have to make sure that at least 80% of what you say is understandable. But if you mess up a little bit, just push on, go on. Always greet your interviewers with a smile, because subconsciously, right, when you smile, even if you mess up, psychologically, it's going to make you feel like, less bad about the mistakes you do. So whatever it is, my general tip, remember, enjoy the process.
Yeah, I mean, we can all make Arianna our model. She knows that she wants to take law and she likes interviews. But for some people, like, for example, Suba, she's changed. She used to study pure science in high school, but now she's currently taking economics, right? So how important do you think it is to know the course you want to pursue, like by the time you start applying for all of these things? Because Suba has like a major shift. So does that affect your chances? Maybe we can start with Suba.
I think it doesn't really affect your chances, given that the courses that you're applying might not be your first choice, because I'm sure not everyone is going to apply for their first choice. Sometimes it might not be an option. Your first choice might not be an option. So the reason why I switched is because, like I said, there were things that I had to consider when accepting the scholarships. So I thought that Bank Negara would best suit me, is the best option for me in terms of security and the cost. So the reason the reason I was able to like make this change easily was because at first I already had my mind on a few things. For example, although I was really passionate about science, I also considered the possibility that I might be taking accounting, because although during that time I didn't know this, I only got to know this like further on into my course, that when I was young, I was actually looking more towards becoming an accountant. So I feel like, and realizing how interesting economics actually is made me also more passionate about that. So I feel that like sometimes you might feel that you are making the wrong decision when choosing a course or something, but realize that the process, the journey just gets better. Don't treat it as a destination that you want to go to. Treat it as a whole journey that you're going to enjoy. So in that case, I feel that like although I had to make this shift and realize, tell myself that I might not be doing anything that has to do with science, it still made me feel better knowing that I'm still able to enjoy this whole process of getting my degree in accounting or economics. It also makes me feel better knowing that I can still enjoy this whole process. So I think that's something to know when you are like making these major decisions, changing your course or something. But also like those courses that I had like less of a knowledge on. For example, I did apply with SPAN. I did apply for data science. So in that case, the reason I applied for data science was because my brother is also a data scientist. So I have at least a little bit knowledge on that. And also because I felt that data science, although it might look like very different compared to the courses and the subjects that I did take, in a way, it is all related. If you do a bit more research, maybe you would realize how interesting each course actually is. So maybe that's my tip. Do a bit more research in each course so that you don't miss out the things that you might actually have interest in. Yeah.
Talking about having knowledge in the course you want to take, like doing a bit of research, and we've already known that Arianna has known for a long time she wants to study law, so she has a bit of information about law, right? But for example, for myself, I want to study computer science. How much do you think, Nia, we should know about this course? Like, if I want to study computer science, is it really necessary to know computer programming languages, for example?
That's actually a great question. Like doing something directly related to the course, I would say, yeah, it's necessary, but only to a certain extent. You don't, at the end of the day, you have to only do something that's like, you're really passionate about it. You bear in mind that the scholarship bodies don't expect you to know all the programming languages and like how critical you do the thing. I mean, I'm not great at computer programming myself, so I'm not sure if I'm giving a reasonable reason. But like for other courses as well, if you're not too sure about the course and you don't have that much of experience in that course, don't worry, because what's most important is that you show that you have interest in it. Even if it's something small, just show that you have an interest and passion in doing that. That's what these interviewers are looking for, because at the end of the day, they also know that you're just a 17 and 18-year-old applying for scholarship, not knowing too much about the big picture, right? So they don't expect too much from you. So don't worry if you don't have that much of an exposure into it. But obviously it's a plus point if you do have it. So during your high school year, if you're still in high school, try your best to be involved in all these other things. And yeah, and use those stuff to really show on the real day, on the real day of the interview. And yeah, I think that's what matters the most. You having the interest and passion in it. Because I feel like when you have a passion in something, you would glow. You would like, there's just something different when you start to talk about something that you love, right? That's what the interviewers love to see. You spark and you like shine. Like your eyes just sparkle somehow when you talk about some things that you love. So yeah, I think, yeah, don't beat up yourself too much about it.
It really shows how important it is having an interest or passion in a certain area, especially before applying a scholarship. Now, the floor is open to the audience who would like to ask any questions. You can ask the questions in the chat box below. So for the first question, is, do we need to have straight A's when applying these scholarships, especially Bank Negara and Khazanah? And what about the trial results? Should it also be straight A's? I think we can go first with Subha.
For Bank Negara, you don't really need to have straight A's. I think the requirement when we were applying was to have at least 8 A's. So that's the requirement. Straight A's is not necessary. And also for your trial results, it doesn't have to be straight A's. It doesn't have to be even 8 A's, I'm assuming, because your trial results, only some scholarships ask for your trial results if you were to apply with your actual results. Not like if like you want to go for like any early harvest using your forecast results, then maybe your trials results should be able to achieve that requirement. But if you're applying with your actual results, your trial results is just there to support the fact that your actual results is not a miracle or anything. It's consistent. It's at least kind of consistent with your trial results. But even if you feel that like you did really badly for your trials, but you can ace your SPM, even in that case, just use your trial results. Sometimes scholarship bodies, they don't even look at your trial results. So I think don't worry too much about that. Yeah.
Next, Arianna or Nia?
I think Nia can go for this because for me, I only have experience applying for one scholarship. So I think like it would be best to hear her perspective instead. She has more offers.
Hey, I did not get from what I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, obviously different scholarship has different requirement, and some scholarships, there are two different types of scholarships, right? There is the need-based scholarship and also the merit-based scholarship. So it's not just sometimes for a merit-based scholarship, that your SPM, your trial results may matter. Like for Bank Negara, they require at least 8 A's, no A minuses. So of course, it's like, it's not, if you get straight A plus, you definitely have like a higher chance of getting it. It's not like that at all. Because again, they look at a more holistic approach. The whole scholarship process is a very holistic way. They don't just look at your academics. But I would say that the first level of filtering out students is obviously the academics. Because I mean, if you were an assessor yourself, you would also want to filter out based on your academic as well. But yeah, don't worry if you're not like an academic driven person, or like you're not like the best in your class, because I wasn't the best in my class. That's all I know. I did not get straight A plus. But as long as you meet the requirement, that's like what's most important, and you just show what you have and do. Because say you're not like you didn't get 6 A plus or like 4 A plus like your other friends, but don't feel inferior of yourself. Don't feel like, oh, I don't have a chance, so I don't think I should apply to this scholarship. Because like, look at the other people who are applying to the scholarship, they got straight A plus. Because you may never know what the scholarship bodies are looking for. At the end of the day, it's like PNC, they decide on their own. But yeah, I feel like it's not the main thing. It is the main thing, but there are also other factors that contribute as well. And for other scholarships, like the need-based scholarship, they look at your income as well. And for trial results, I mean, Bank Negara asks for results since Form 4. So it differs according to the scholarship. Some scholarship would want to see how consistent you are from all these years, and some scholarship just ask for your SPM results, right? But at the end of the day, just bear in mind that, yeah, you have to prioritize your academics first, but also bear in mind that you can also shine in other areas as well. Yeah, I think that's all for me.
Yeah, Nia, coming from a non-English speaking household, Auni, Afra, and quite a few other attendees would like to know about how important it is to be fluent in English during the interview, and if it is that important, how do they master their communication skills?
I would say that, I mean, I won't say I'm very much like I'm very much fluent, or like I master the art of like speaking in English, because I feel like I do make grammatical mistakes from here and then. But I feel like having like perfect English is not the main thing. I feel like what's most important is how you persuade and how you stand on your ground. Because one thing that's like really, one thing that really challenged me during the interview was that the interviewers really like put you under pressure. Like they keep on asking you questions by questions, and like it's like they're just testing you, you know. It's not the English proficiency, it's how you construct your answer and how you portray your answer in a way that you want to persuade these people. Like you're basically selling yourself in a good way, but not in a bragging way. So like how you just persuade and convince these people, and not just English proficiency though. There are other scholarship bodies that require a, you need to be fluent in BM. So one big mistake that I've done for my GPA interview was that I did not prepare for an answer in Bahasa Melayu. So it was a bit awkward for me to answer both in BM and English, because I thought I came in the interview with the knowing that I could choose whichever language that I'm most fluent in, right? But no, you're supposed to answer based on the question. So they just switch in the interview. Like one time they just ask in BM, then the next question they ask you in English. So you're expected to answer in both BM and English. So it's a bit like, I mean, yeah, but I would say that it's important to have like basic communication skills, right? But you don't necessarily have to be fluent in it or like great in it. As long as you can convince and persuade the interviewers, that's like what's most important. And just be confident with yourself. And if you see other people in the interview room that has an advanced vocabulary, a more advanced vocabulary, it doesn't mean that they have an advantage over that or an upper hand just because they know what this this word means and you don't, right? But one thing that worked for me, that it really improved my English, not coming from an English speaking household, was I like to imagine that I have a YouTube channel. So I would just talk to myself. And watch a lot of like English movies, right? So I think those are the things that really help me practice. And don't feel bad if you make grammatical mistakes. Like when anyone tegur you that, oh, I don't think you said the right thing. I mean, it's embarrassing at first, but like that's how you grow, you know, as a person. So don't feel bad if you don't have good English proficiency. Just be yourself, I guess. Yeah.
That's amazing, Nia, considering that you've watched a lot of YouTube videos and imagine yourself like in a YouTube kind of vibe. All right, this next question also is related to YouTube. So someone asked, do you think having your own YouTube channel is an added advantage in promoting yourself? Maybe we can start with Suba.
I think having a YouTube channel is really amazing. It can help promote yourself, given that from YouTube itself, people can assume that you are like confident, you are good at promoting yourself, you are social media oriented, which is also something that corporates are looking for right now. So in terms of that, having a YouTube channel is good from an outsider's point of view, but also for yourself, I believe that having a YouTube channel would mean that you are consistent. I'm just assuming that you might be consistent in posting your videos. You also might be more, how to say, self-reflective, because when you are posting your YouTube videos, I'm pretty sure you would be thinking about things that you want to say, things that just come naturally. So you're more, how do I say this? You're more spontaneous when it comes to just promoting yourself, promoting your everyday life. So having a YouTube channel from an outsider's point of view is amazing, and also it can be amazing for yourself. So if it's something that you want to do, it's not a must. But if it's something that you really like and something that you want to do, then just go for it. If you feel that it's one of the ways that you want to promote yourself to your interviewers, then share your YouTube channel with them. Sure, whatever works.
Wait, is it possible if I just add one little thing about what Subha has said? It can be good and bad, I feel, like having a YouTube channel, because you have to bear in mind the risk of putting yourself out there in online platforms. You have to bear in mind that there will be all these people from all different parties, all parts of the world, looking and watching over your character and how you speak. So it depends on the content as well. So if you like post content that's like a bit disturbing or like a bit, you say something in the video that's like opposing or like a bit sensitive in a way, and you may not know anyone from the scholarship body that might be watching your video, and they might be like, oh, so this is what this person really is. So it can be good and it can be bad. So when you want to put yourself out there, you just have to bear in mind that people are watching and you may not know who is watching you. So you have to really be careful with the content that you're putting out there.
Yeah, I think it's really important of how we portray ourselves out in the world, like in the online world, because it's really accessible to everyone. So it can be a good and bad thing at the same time. Because I've known stories of people who have written essays just about their YouTube channels and have actually gotten offers. Talking about essays, Adam Rosley would like to know how long or how much are our essays usually expected to be that is enough for you to elaborate and really put your soul into each experience that you've attained.
Okay, I think I can go for this one. I would actually, you cannot dictate how long paragraph you because I'm pretty sure most scholarships they'll give you a limit on how much you write. For example, for YK, I know that they usually do 1,000 as the cap, as the maximum for how can, which seems like a lot, like 1,000 words. It's actually not enough. For someone like me, I just really have so much I want to write about. And sometimes when you're sitting down and you're answering the questions, you're answering the prompts, right? You're writing the application essay, and you realize you have so much you want to talk about yourself. You want to put yourself forward as like the best candidate, right? So in the end, it's sort of difficult to put all of your thoughts into just 1,000 words. Or some scholarships might even have less than that. So I think it's important here. How long, right? It's about what you write that matters. So my general tip for writing your essays for scholarships, right, is to keep it compact, meaning just don't use too much flowery language. Like you might think that it will impress your the people viewing your essay, but it can attract them, but too much is too much, and you're gonna waste a lot of your limited words for like flowery language that doesn't point towards who you are as a person. Like they can know that you're good at writing, but do they really know you from what you've written? So I would say in your essay, try to be more self-focused, as in try to make sure that each and every one of your sentences have some sort of value towards the person viewing your essay. Make sure that when the person reads your essay, every single line they read is about you, and every single line is a step forward towards knowing your personality or knowing who you are. And I think that if you want to make any claims whatsoever in your essay, right, or if you want to talk about any of your experiences, I think a general tip that I don't think I've heard people talking about before is when you write about your experiences, make sure to share your thought process. So how this looks like, right, is, for example, you write about a problem you've encountered, but most people would just be straightforward and talk about what happened and how they solved it. But then they don't explain why they chose that solution to solve the problem. Bring the person viewing your essay, bring your interviewer, bring the scholarship body along with you on the journey to, like, from start to finish, make sure that they know how you think, how you choose to solve your problems, how you choose to portray yourself, how you inwardly are. Let them learn not only the outward part of your personality, but also the inner workings of your brain, because in the end of the day, the scholarships also want to know how you think. What kind of person are they giving this scholarship to, right? You may look like an amazing person outside. You may achieve so many things, but there is sort of an attraction towards how a person works. And if you can attract your scholarship body by the way you think, it's going to be really amazing. So be sure to include those sort of things in your essay.
I totally agree with you, Arianna, considering that we have to show how well we present ourselves and also our thought process, so that we give our scholarship a clear explanation of what our first problem is, in order to prove our solution. So for the next question is for Subha. You stated that you wanted to study medical at first before considering to take economics. So how about scholarship covering for medical courses such as MBBS or B.Pharm? It has come to realize that 90% of the scholarship available are only for students pursuing BBUS, BE, or LLB.
Okay, let me be honest. I'm not really sure in this aspect, because I'm not sure if most those scholarship bodies are offered for non-Bhumiputra. So that's just me being honest. When I was applying, the scholarships that I considered for medical courses was JPA only. So yeah, I'm not sure about those courses, but if they are available, make sure that you see whether those scholarships are full scholarships, or they only cover like certain things, like only tuition fees. Some scholarships tend to do that, so make sure that you look into that. Also, I think that like medical courses like MBBS, there's as far as I'm concerned, there are no scholarships for, like you said, there's no scholarships for SPM leavers for these courses. So maybe what you can do is to pursue your A levels or foundation first with another scholarship, and then look into these offers. If you really want to do that, if you really want to pursue these courses, maybe look into other scholarships offer that only offer you until your pre-university, and then look into these courses if you can apply for it through other scholarships, if that's possible. Because I'm not really specialized at medical courses. As far as I'm concerned, I was just going to go on with a scholarship through foundation and then my degree, and I was only looking at government universities, because if it's something that you all didn't know, it's easier for you to be absorbed into the government universities, for government hospitals to work there, and for your like housemanship, and later on when you're doing your residency, it's easier for you to be absorbed into government hospitals if you come from government universities. So if you want to apply for these courses in private universities, just know that it can be a bit of a struggle when you're applying for your housemanship later. They might either you would get places that are further off from where you studied at or where you live, or it could also mean that you would have to wait longer to get a position in those hospitals. So just make sure of that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the three of you know that you're very, very inspirational by now. So one of the attendees would want to know whether are there any platforms or any way they can see some example essays like from your experience?
I can answer that question. I've recently shared my scholarship essay that I've submitted to Bank Negara in PACE initiative. So I think they will publish it soon. So I think you can get it there, or you can just try and DM or email me on my Instagram or my email. I'll put it down later in the chat box. So just feel free to approach me. I'm not sure about the other two, but I'm really down in like just having a chat with you and like, just talk and like tell you what you need to know.
Can I add to what Nia said? I actually think it's like really important to reach out to your school alumni or people who have gotten scholarships, and you might be a little bit nervous or afraid to reach out to people like this. But honestly, you just have to like put yourself forward, be bare with yourself, and just try to be confident and go for it, because usually people are so open and willing to help you. So if you need tips for like one-on-one tips for essays or interviews, then like Nia, I'm also up for that, for anything actually if you just want to chat. I can also share my details as well later. But even if it's not just the three of us, you can also look towards other people who have received scholarships. I'm pretty sure they're willing.
All right. From your three achievements are definitely impressive. So before we close this webinar, the first question is there anything you would have done differently if you could start over high school? Maybe we can give this question to Suba. As at first in school, she took pure science, but now she's taking econs as her subject.
I think one thing I would do differently, like ironically, I wouldn't have changed my course. I am happy that I took pure science in high school. It might be different for some of y'all, but for me, I like challenges. So I felt that like sitting for pure science in SPM was a challenge and I was up for it. So I wouldn't have changed that. And also I feel that, but one thing that I would have done differently though is to be more outgoing, I guess, and like more confident with myself. Because I remember in high school, some of the things I refrained from doing earlier because I thought that I wouldn't be good at it, or maybe some things I wouldn't have time for it. But later on, I realized that because I never did it, I don't know what would have become, So if possible, you don't want to have those feelings of like, what if I have joined that competition? What if I've joined this club? What would have become? So maybe you don't want those feelings. For example, I realized that since primary school, I was more into like swimming. So I never really tried out other sports. So later on in like Form 4, I guess, I tried out squash and realized that I do have a knack for it. So maybe if I tried it out earlier, I would have been able to improve myself better while I was in high school, and like maybe participated in more tournaments, more MSSNM. So yeah, that's something you want to do. Just go for it. Don't limit yourself from anything.
I totally agree with not limit ourselves with anything and also just try something new, and especially in co-curriculum. How about we go to Arianna next?
I can say that I don't really have a lot of regrets for how high school played out, especially for the last 2 years and a few months that I've been in high school. But I would say that I think it's pretty funny how there is this really big gap between who I was in lower form and who I was in upper form, because I realized that in upper form I really changed the way I think, and to this day I still have that sort of mentality where I don't really care about what other people think about me. I don't care about like people's perceptions over me, and that's why I have this sort of like confidence to just do whatever I want, even though it seems like too extra or like a little too much for people. I just do it. I just do what I love, and if I'm passionate about it, I just go for it, because like nobody can say anything about you. And I feel like in lower form, I was really I really distanced myself from other people because I still wanted to do the things that I did, but I believe that if I was close to other people, they would sort of judge me for like always being busy or always running off somewhere doing like who knows what, anything I wanted to do at the moment. But then up form is where I started to open up to people, and I think that this is a struggle so many people face in high school. It's that feeling of like not being able to fit in. But to that, I would say that fitting in isn't actually something that you necessarily have to do in high school. I think it's more of finding a space that's comfortable for you. For example, my support system throughout my last 2 years in college, was my friends, my classmates, because I realized that instead of trying to fit in with people who don't accept me for who I am. I should search for people who actually do accept me for who I am. And when you're in an environment where you're comfortable, you can be whoever you want to be, with people who don't judge you, you're more likely to be successful in your own way. You're more likely to be less restrained. And so when you have healthy thinking, you have your emotional support systems, things are going to run so well. So trust me, take my advice, look for people who can love you and you love back. It's going to make your high school experience so much better.
I totally feel you with the part where you say that it's fine to not fit in high school because of your achievements, because some people will be will judge you for doing a lot of things and also for being a high achiever. So for the next question is for Nia. So how is group interview being done in the Bank Negara Malaysia Scholarship?
Oh yes, for group interviews, there was a bit of a hassle because the group assessment and the individual interview happened on the same day. So it was a bit like, oh, you have to have a good night's sleep before that. But yeah, basically for Bank Negara, before the actual day of the group assessment, they would give you a case study prompt beforehand and also like a one-page PDF, I think, of what they're going to talk about. So what I received last year was on vaccination, if I'm not mistaken, right, Subha? It was about vaccination, yeah. But so yeah, the case studies, this is just for Bank Negara. For Petronas, I've received on mental health. Yeah, so if you see from the pattern of the case studies topic that they mostly give on the relevant topics that are relevant to this day. Like for example, the COVID situation, obviously you want to know about the vaccination, right? So it's really, really helpful for you to do a background research before the actual group assessment. So the case study prompt they gave beforehand was really useful, but bear in mind that that they didn't give the actual question beforehand for you to like prepare a script for that, right? Because on the real day, only then will they give you the exact question, and only then on the real day will you be meeting your group mates and where you have to talk and discuss with them. So you can't really prepare the materials, but you could prepare, like you can read up about things online which can support in your argument. Because I feel like what was really challenging during the group interview was the follow-up questions that they give, because you may not know the level of difficulty that it might give, because some of them might test you by asking some professional corporate questions that might you may get scared a bit. But that's the whole point of being an interviewer. You are tested in how you deal with a certain problem. You have to always be on top of your toes and always have to be ready in answering those questions. And I feel like another unwritten rule being in a group assessment is your diplomacy in being in a group discussion. So it's really important, like I said earlier on, it's really important to be a good team leader, and also important to be a good team player. Because being a good team leader, like allocating tasks to do, it's like good, but if you're not a good team player, then it's not really a good thing, right? So, and you have to also bear in mind that there will be people who might oppose your idea, or you might have like an opposing idea to what this person might have said. So you have to know how to go about that by like saying that, oh, I appreciate your input. I think your input is fine, but alternatively, you can think about blah, 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 blah. So the interview etiquette really plays a big role in group assessment. So like all these unwritten laws are like really crucial for you to understand. And like, because at the end of the day, they would want to absorb you back to the company, right? So they must want to know how you work in a group, or like how you work in a group and under pressure. So it's like really important to know the interview etiquette and also have a good teamwork skills. Yeah.
And that marks the end of our webinar for today. It's so sad that this webinar has come to an end, isn't it, Athena?
Yeah, I've definitely learned a lot today, especially these role models, as not just because they got scholarships, but because they're great people in general. So thank you, speakers, for your input, and everyone for attending. Don't forget to subscribe to Chumlang's Telegram channel at t.me/chumlang.org and Get There's Telegram channel at t.me/getthere.co. We also have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Get There's LinkedIn page. We look forward to hearing from you in our feedback form. Have a great Sunday, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.